What's going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we are checking out Screaming Eagles. I've been getting this one recommended to me a whole bunch recently, so that's what we're checking out today. We're checking out a fan music video from Night SGC Archive, which I believe we watched one of his videos before. If I'm not mistaken, he does pretty good music videos. Yeah, I swear I've seen this before. Or his channel, I should say. Really cool. Yeah. Let's jump in. The links for both the video and the Sabaton History are going to be linked below, so go check them out. And let's jump straight in. God damn! When did this come out? God damn! This is it. This has to be one of their earlier ones. 2010. Okay, yeah. Coat of Arms album. I knew it had to be one of their earlier ones just based off of the noise. I forget which one of y'all told me about it, but someone told me about like how different their sound is depending on the year, and it has really stuck with me. By the way, is this, what is it, Band of Brothers? God, I haven't watched this show in fucking forever. Oh, I gotta watch it again. God, I don't know what it is. The artillery. Where is it? That line. Like, don't know why. Love it. That's a deceptively dark line. Dig your own foxholes or dig your own grave. That is, like, deceptively dark. I like that. I like the sound of that part. Also, if I'm not mistaken, this is about the Battle of the Bulge, which I don't know a whole lot about. All I know about, like, a big portion of it was from, like, books I read growing up, and, like, how it was just so incredibly cold, like, the creaking of the trees. Like, I believe some of the writers had, like, read firsthand accounts of the battle, and so the way the writers like described it. The creaking of the trees because it was so cold just has always stuck with me. Like that's always something I think about whenever it's super cold out and like in the winter. That's my brain instantly goes there. Um also, uh Fat Electrician did a video. I forget on who. I believe I have a reaction to it somewhere on my channel of a small, I want to say company or unit. It was a fairly small force who ended up delaying like a German attack by themselves with like no support whatsoever. I want to say it was like 11 guys, maybe something like that, where they only had like a Jeep, a 50 cal, and that was it. And they fought off so many to the point where the Germans all thought there was more than what there were. And like it ended up delaying, was it Rommel? I want to say because Rommel was the tank guy, right? He delayed the tank's push into the Bulge, and it helped delay them with their limited fuel reserves to, you know, like not make it so we not as many tanks got there. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been a hot minute since I watched the video. Oh, his voice, oh, the solo. Dude, holy shit. Hats off to this dude. The quick edits to stick in time with the music. Right, it's coming up right here. Do. Like really putting in like the effect of what this would have. Great fucking editing. Holy shit. I love it. That's right. Isn't that a famous story of I want to say that was a famous story of was it the Allied side? Where he like tried to get them to surrender. They declined, and he goes and he went, hence the thing, nuts. He went nuts. I want to say that's the story. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm sure they'll mention it in the history section. God, I gotta watch this show again. It looks so good. Who directed it? I'm walking out.
Now, 2 days ago, the German commander demanded our honorable surrender. Save the USA encircled troops from total annihilation. The German commander received the following reply.
Oh no, there was a bunch of directors. Yeah, David Frankel, Michael Solomon, Tom Hanks, David Leland, Richard Lundgren, David Nutter, Phil Alden Robinson, Tony Toe. Okay.
To the German commander.
Let me go back. talking about it. 2 days ago, the German commander demanded our honorable
Save the
surrender.
USA encircled troops from total annihilation. The German
Okay,
commander
so this is
received
the
the
story.
following reply. To the German commander. Nuts.
Okay, so it was the other
Giving
way
our
around.
country and our loved ones at home a worthy Christmas present, and being privileged to take part in this gallant feat of arms, we're truly making for ourselves. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all, and God bless you.
Nuts, sir. Nuts.
Dude, I'm glad. Oh, not. I did not mean to dislike it. I'm glad he has Patreon supporters because holy shit, he does good work. He does really good work. He is a great editor. Hats off to him. All right, we're gonna jump into the history section now. Hope you guys stick around.
I'm Hannes from Sabaton,
And I'm Freddie Mercury.
and this is Sabaton History.
I love it whenever they do that kind of shit. Oh, that's an earlier one
Screaming
too.
eagles. You know, eagles don't actually scream. It's more like a ah.
And our song, Screaming Eagles, is about the 101st Airborne at the Battle of the Bulge.
I am aware that people call them the 101st, but in terms of flow for an oral narrative, I'm going to call them the 101st, just so I can tell the story more smoothly.
I mean, to be fair, I call them both. I don't think it really matters. It's kind of like Caribbean versus Caribbean. It's whatever flows naturally in the context of what you're giving. Like it's Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean to the Caribbean. Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean instead of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's whatever flows naturally or whatever you're telling. So if it flows more naturally for you, say 101st instead of 101st, makes sense. Good on you for like having to.
Spirits were
He knew all the fucking history nerds would be coming after him for saying that. So he's just like, yeah, no, this is simply for telling the narrative.
high among the common German soldiers as they passed lines of tanks, shells, and ammunition on their way to the front lines in France and Belgium in the early December days of 1944. It had been a disastrous year for the Wehrmacht, suffering defeat after defeat on all fronts. But suddenly, there was
There's
this big
I
army
think that's
assembling in the
Canadians up
West,
there.
ready to go on the offensive once again, with no lesser aim but to tear apart the Allied coalition in the West in one decisive thrust. It felt like 1940 all over again. However, this was not the German army that had been sent on the offensive in Poland, France, or Russia 4 or 5
I'm
years
assuming
before.
less
By the
trained?
early winter of 1944, Germany's military consisted partly of battle-hardened veterans and partly of young boys and old men that had been pressed into the now struggling war machine.
Yeah.
The Reich was scraping the bottom of the barrel and
Actually, I've mentioned it a bunch of times before. Unfortunately, I don't see it on my shelf, so I don't know where I ended up getting put. But Soldier Boys. I've mentioned the book before. Honestly, I think it's like my favorite World War II fictional book. Really great book. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Go ahead and read it. Great book. I want to say, like, the final battle, I want to say takes place during the Battle of the Bulge. And they were both the main characters, as, like, the whole point, soldier boys. They were boys. They were both super young. It was like a 15-year-old German soldier, and then I can't remember. Was he 16 or 17? The American. I can't remember for the life of me. But I know the German soldier, he was basically paired up with a battle-hardened Wehrmacht soldier. Damn, I forget their names. Really good book, though. Like, I will continue to say it. Check it out.
terms of conscription and logistics. Supply had always been a weakness of the German army, but in 1944, clearly seriously
just
lacked
tossing that shit,
adequate
huh?
motorization, fuel, and ammunition to support an endeavor like this new Western one. The armored wedge of the offensive was an amalgamation of different models, as was the artillery.
Ooh, what are
Some
those?
Panthers and Jagdpanzer, but mostly Panzer IVs and modified half-tracks. But the Panzer Grenadiers rode on the tanks. The paratroopers were reinforced by young men from the Luftwaffe personnel, and the Volksgrenadiers were made of shattered divisions. So despite the impressive numbers, the army seemed to lack the capability of fulfilling Adolf Hitler's vision for destroying his enemies. As the attack finally began on December 16th, it did fail to achieve its objectives rather quickly. The 6th Panzer Army, which was supposed to lead the main attack, had been held up by stubborn American resistance at Saint-Vit, Malmedy, and Elsenborn Ridge.
Yeah, I think one of these is where that story I was telling you about was.
Even though the main thrust had failed, though, the supporting 5th Panzer Army had managed to achieve considerable success further south, as it had found a weak spot in the American lines in the Ardennes. Plans shifted on the spot. 5th Army would advance all the way to the River Meuse, taking the town of Bastogne in the process. Bastogne was not only a major traffic hub, but also a depot for Allied fuel, storing nearly 3 million gallons. A precious resource to the Germans if captured, sure, but even if destroyed, it would sabotage plans for an American offensive in the coming spring. If Bastogne were taken quickly, there might still be a chance to further advance beyond the Meuse and towards Namur. Before the offensive, the area around Bastogne was considered a pretty quiet sector of the front by American High Command. It lay in between the operational sector of the 1st Army, which had been slogging through the Hütgen forest, and the 3rd Army south of Luxembourg, which was grinding against the German fortifications of the Siegfried Line. So the Ardennes had been seen as a resting zone for battered divisions, or a training ground for green units who needed to gain some experience from the small skirmishes that did take place there. To attack Bastogne, though, the Germans would have to send a large armored force through the thickly wooded Ardennes, with only a few roads available. Such a maneuver was considered extremely unlikely by the Allies, especially in the winter. I mean, a surprise attack through the Ardennes? Who could have predicted that? Sure, that was exactly what the Germans did in 1940, but not again, right?
They would try that shit
again. The Ardennes
again.
sector was only thinly held by 3 American divisions when the armored spearhead of the Germans appeared on the scene. Overrunning American lines, elements of the 5th Panzer Army then rushed in to exploit the break in those lines. They knew they had only a small window of time of maybe 4 or 5 days until the Allies would send in reinforcements.
Or as I like to call them,
the Americans
Stugs.
in the Ardennes had no hope of halting the German advance, but could at least try to blunt the spearhead and deprive the Germans of precious time. So in a fighting retreat, they delayed the
was that?
spearhead and deprived the Germans of precious time.
God, what is that called? The M8? Is that the M8 HMC? Like the heavy, what does the HMC stand for? Heavy motor carriage or whatever? It was super stubby. I think that's what that is anyway.
So in a fighting retreat, they delayed the Germans with anti-tank guns and bazookas, causing traffic jams by taking out the lead tanks on the narrow forest roads. Lieutenant General Omar Bradley, in overall command of the sector, had been promised big reinforcements, but they would take time. The only immediately available forces in the vicinity were the 82nd and the 101st Airborne Divisions, currently being refitted at Rem after their costly attacks during Operation Market Garden.
Both very famous, those are both very famous, names when it comes to the U.S. military.
While the 82nd was sent north towards Saint-Vit, the 101st, Screaming Eagles, were rushed towards Bastogne. The 101st was an experienced and battle-proven unit, but it did not have adequate winter equipment and not really enough heavy weapons available either. Anyhow, after 2 days of fighting the German advance in the Ardennes, the American retreat had become total, and the troops flooded back towards Bastogne, away from the German panzers. The roads to Bastogne were open, but the weather worsened. This was bad for the Americans, as rain and fog grounded the American Air Force. But at Bastogne, the men prepared their defenses. Field artillery
Ooh, we need that
and
Air
M7
Force.
self-propelled howitzers dug in on a semicircular perimeter, while engineers turned the town into a fortress.
Oh yeah, M7s.
The 19th, panzers appeared on the outskirts of town, and those American tanks that were available rode out to meet them, delaying the German
they
advance
just-
once again. That night, the Screaming Eagles finally arrived in Bastogne. So too did the elite German Panzer Division. The next day, the Screaming Eagles were smack in the center of the action, while the German tanks and tank destroyers
welcome
attacked
party.
and destroyed the retreating or bogged down American army units just outside Bastogne. The 101st engaged the German infantry. Supported by field artillery, the Screaming Eagles fought through the outskirts and local villages and even barricaded themselves inside an old chateau, shooting down the Panzer Grenadiers who tried to flush them out. This stiff resistance cost the Germans even more time, and it was not until the 22nd
Time they didn't
that
have.
Bastogne was finally surrounded. Hitler gave the order: Bastogne must be taken at all cost. On that day, two blindfolded officers of the Panzer Lehr approached the headquarters of General McAuliffe, in overall command of the various troops trapped inside the city. The two officers asked the Americans to surrender. Confronted by the offer,
Oh, I didn't realize there was an actual general in Bastogne when all this shit was going down.
McAuliffe blurted out, laughing, "Nuts." Bastogne was
Hell
encircled,
yeah, brother.
true. But for days now, the Germans had tried unsuccessfully to break in and had been repelled time and again. And let's face it, being encircled was basically part of the job description of the 101st Airborne.
God, who was I want to say it was a Marine who said it. Hey, we're encircled now. He goes, good. Then, what? Fuck. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Marine quote about being, the fuck was it called? Oh, it was chesty. Okay. We're surrounded. That simplifies things. Yeah, that simplifies
Lost
shit.
for adequate words, McAuliffe also just typed out "nuts" on the document. To the puzzled Germans who
Yeah,
asked,
I ain't doing
what
that shit.
was this supposed to mean?
I ain't
The
surrendering.
Americans simply explained that they should go to hell and that every German trying to get into the town was about to be killed.
Hell yeah.
So the German forces built
Love
up
being
again,
American.
reinforced by more
Go to
veteran
hell.
Panzer Grenadiers from Italy and more tanks and tank destroyers. But the skies cleared, and the American Air Force was able to resupply the encircled city. The 101st had dug in on Christmas Day in the woods northeast of the city. Digging into the frozen ground in the woods was difficult, but every foxhole was a lifesaver as the German shells dropped all around them. In the freezing cold, the German grenadiers infiltrating the woods in white camouflage were met with rifle and machine gun fire, and the advancing panzers were engaged with bazookas and howitzers. Wave after wave, the Germans advanced on the 101st from different directions, but time and time again, the paratroopers and glider infantry fought them off in a series of vicious battles through woods and villages. Specialized tree buster shells were soon falling on the German positions, savaging the attackers with splinters and shrapnel. Christmas attack.
Yes, those must be the shells that I remember hearing about in the book. Because they mentioned in the book how the trees would shrapnel and killed a bunch of them in the book. That must be, what did he call them?
Through woods and villages. Specialized tree buster shells
Tree
were soon
buster
falling
shells,
on the
that's
German
fucking
positions,
insane that we made
savaging the
those.
attackers with splinters and shrapnel. Christmas attack was an absolute disaster for the Germans, with heavy casualties and the loss of a lot of tanks. The siege continued, but the major threat had been fought off. By the 26th, the reserves from Patton's Third Army finally established a corridor into Bastogne, though it would take several more days to secure it since the Germans were trying to cut it off.
Of course they were.
Skirmishes continued, but even newly arrived SS divisions could not establish another siege. By January,
Holy shit, what the fuck? I know they were going for young, but god damn, homie looks 13. He doesn't look much older. And they're wearing the actual SS uniform. What the fuck? 19. They must have been part of the youth program.
fearing that they might lose overall control of the front, German high command ordered a full retreat, and the overall strategic initiative in the West shifted to the Americans. By now, the U.S. Air Force was flying attacks again, and on January 12th, when the news of a Soviet winter offensive broke, so too did Hitler's last gamble in the West.
He gambled and it didn't pay out. God, the synthy keyboard sounds
101st
amazing.
Airborne. What about them?
Well, 101st Airborne, we visited them at Fort Campbell, and I just want to say to anyone who was there and to anyone in the 101st and at Fort Campbell, thank you for taking such good care of us.
Did you
That's cool that he got to go there and meet them.
go to
That's pretty
Bastogne
fucking
as
dope.
well?
Yes, I did. We saw the lovely Sherman tank they have on the town square.
I haven't been there. I've never
You
been there.
haven't?
No.
Oh, I recommend it. The
I'd love to
forest
go.
outside of Bastogne, where they, all of that crazy stuff from, Band of Brothers. You can see in there.
Tell us about the actual song itself. How did this come up?
Actually, a bit different, this one. I was sitting very much alone in the old studio, and I was writing the music. And I didn't even have any idea what the song was going to be about at this time. To be honest, I might be destroying somebody's illusion of the songwriting process here. But I was so fucking angry and tired with myself because I've been writing a lot on the Coat of Arms album, and I just hadn't gotten that punchy, really hard, adrenaline rushing song yet. Probably about 1 or 2 in the morning.
Okay, I can
I
understand
just said,
that.
fuck this shit. I'm gonna write a song and I'm not going home until I did. And in that case, that aggression I had towards myself actually just kickstarted that intro, and which became kind of the chorus as well, like making the guitar riff, and it's like, yeah, that's it, let's go next. So I just didn't give myself
Get upset at yourself. Just nah, bro. I'm pissed. I'm doing this. Yeah, that works. Time to move on.
any chance
I love that.
to slow down and overthink it. So it just went like a train from beginning to end. And by 7 or 8 in the morning, it was all done. So it's actually one of the faster Sabaton songs ever written, from a songwriting perspective.
And the neighbors called and said they were really happy.
Yes, they
enjoyed-
loved
Obviously.
it.
enjoyed the entire songwriting process. They thought, wow.
Can't wait to hear your new album, man.
Keep working at night, man. That's the thing. But hey, something you said before, I want to get back to. You mentioned Band of Brothers.
Yes.
I love Band of Brothers.
So do
Love
I.
that show.
It
I
might
need to
seem
rewatch it.
obvious to a lot of people who are into history that everybody has seen that, but I
Well,
just
they might not know that Band of Brothers is about these guys.
yes. Oh, sorry. It is about the 101st Airborne.
Pretty sure it's like almost explicitly stated in the show. It'd be weird if you didn't know that. I mean, maybe if you're kind of like me where you haven't watched it a bit. I knew it was about Airborne. And so Airborne, I instantly think either 101st or 82nd.
And there's a fantastic book called Band of Brothers, written by Stephen Ambrose, if I'm not mistaken as well.
But Band of Brothers itself, the series you were saying
Yes,
Oh,
about.
I have to-
it's almost
I'll
20
have to
years
read
old
that.
now. And this is something, I guess, if you are under 25 or maybe under 30, you might have missed out on.
You shouldn't miss Band of Brothers. You guys,
didn't.
how awesome is Band of Brothers?
Awesome.
And
Hell
they're not saying that
yeah.
because they have to.
Hell yeah. And it is awesome. I probably didn't miss out on it because my brother was a huge history military nerd. And so I watched that. I remember one year I got my brother the steel case series of the Pacific. This is during like some anniversary for the show. But I got in the steel case version of the Pacific, and I believe he still has it. So I love the Pacific because I remember he used to record that shit so we could watch it whenever. Pacific, really good show.
Because we could always cut it out and add some screams in there. if
Yeah, we
wanted
got to add some extra screams because they didn't sound enthusiastic enough.
Yeah, we want people to think we have a really big crew as well. Isn't that right, Sergey, George, Geraldo?
Just
No, but
naming off
seriously-
names.
Seriously, Band of Brothers is absolutely amazing. It's if you want to get an idea of not just the fighting part of war, but every aspect of what goes through a soldier's life, you owe it to yourself to check out Band of Brothers.
Yeah, perfect marriage between documentary and Hollywood movie always. It's a 10 1-hour, TV series.
Yeah, wait, I haven't done. They also did The Pacific, which I have not seen yet. The Pacific.
What?
No, I have not.
Dude, come on, Indy. Even Pacific's so fucking good. Look up some reactions to Pacific. There's some pretty good reaction videos I've watched to that. It's such a good show. I gotta rewatch the Pacific as well.
Not seen
Oh,
Maybe
that's
I'll just
amazing.
rewatch it with like my
the first
nephew.
time around I watched it, I didn't think it was as good as Band of Brothers.
Really? I'm on the opposite end. I enjoyed Pacific more than Band of Brothers.
But the second time I watched the Pacific, I actually think I liked it even more.
All right, well, that is it for Screaming Eagles.
And that's it for today.
Fuck's sake, Indy.
I'm going to hell.
Aren't we all? Oh my god. This is a good watch.
All right, everyone.
This is a really good watch. Thank you for recommending it. This was fun. Definitely gonna have to rewatch those shows. Probably with my nephew. Be a fun time. Go and check out the originals. They're linked below. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out one of my other reactions. I'm sure there's something there for y'all, any of y'all. And until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. See ya.